So I think that knowing that Kyle Kirkwood is sponsored by Chili's, anytime that Kyle wins, we need to go to Chili's.
We should have our Presidente margaritas.
You know that they only call them dentes now?
What?
I know.
I don't like that.
No, why do we have to abbreviate everything?
Right? Come on, America. We could do better than that.
Yeah, we got to go get margs. Get the triple.
You just abbreviated margs.
Wow, thanks for calling me out. No, it's good. We'll get margaritas.
There you go. There you go.
Triple dipper, some Southwest egg rolls.
I can't think of any of the entrees. I just remember the Southwest egg rolls.
And baby back ribs, because that's good marketing.
Yes. That has stayed with me for how many years? When did the baby back ribs? I got to look this up.
Was that a Super Bowl commercial? I feel like did they show it at a Super Bowl and it became something? Because there was in the early, I'm assuming it has to be in the early 2000s.
No, it was 90s because...
Wasn't Justin Timberlake in one of the commercials?
I don't remember, but I remember Fat Bastard singing it in Austin Powers.
Oh my God, he was.
Yeah, so it was the early 90s.
That's insane.
Oh no. Baby back rib song, come on.
Give me who sang it, who produced it. How much money will we have to pay Kyle Kirkwood to sing Baby Back Rib song on the podium after he wins?
It actually gives you like the lyrics, really. And of course the end, barbecue sauce.
Barbecue sauce.
It's not giving me a year.
Oh, that sucks. But still.
1998.
Okay, so that's, oh my God, that's so long ago. But I do think that if you asked anyone that was a millennial or even like a zillennial, be like, give me a Chili's theme song, 100% they would sing, I want my baby back, baby.
Remember?
Back,
and they were like playing on the glasses and stuff like that. Yep.
But it is crazy that the Chili's logo is now just a chili. Like, they really rebranded.
Even in the restaurants?
No, I think the name Chili's is still on there, but like they changed their Instagram profile to just the chili. Okay. On Kyle's car, it's
all about abbreviation. It's all about that abbreviation. They've cornered the chili market. So sorry, Carlos Sainz.
I was going to say,
you're not a chili. You're not. What he chili wasn't his? Yeah, that was his nickname.
That was his nickname.
Not anymore, dude.
It doesn't go with the Williams color scheme.
No, it does not.
Sorry, you're gonna have to pick something.
He looks so sad, by the way. Doesn't he look sadder than usual?
He's doing a lot more commercials. I think he's doing a L'Oreal campaign too.
Really?
So he's really trying to bring in the funding. To that team. And I don't know. Is Kyle Kirkwood the American Floridian Carlos Sainz chili pepper?
Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows?
All they need to do is bring Paris Hilton, and she just needs to say, "That's hot," in front of the Chili Mobile.
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. Do you realize that she released a new song like last month?
Like singing or DJing?
Singing.
What?
With oh my God, with Meghan Trainor.
Shut up.
I swear to God. Yeah. I thought I heard it on the radio and I was like, I'm sorry, who is this?
Well, they're making a Simple Life like a reboot.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
They're really
with both of them or just Paris?
I think with both of them. Well, I think at the end of the day, they're bored. Want money. Paris just had a baby, right?
No, she did a surrogate, dude.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's not letting that body go to waste.
No, that body is her paycheck.
Right, exactly.
She does look great for her age.
She does.
Drinking the fountain of rich youth.
Yeah, I did. You know what though? One of my friends said they saw her in Miami once, and she looks like terrible in real life. And it was before all of the, the makeup artists and the everybody got to her for like she just looks terrible in real life. So she looked like a normal person.
Probably drives her nuts to look normal.
Right. Could you imagine? Millennials. Speaking of millennials.
Should we do this?
Yeah.
All right.
So welcome to Lap It Like It's Hot. Again, we're two Midwestern millennials just loving life, listening, watching everything IndyCar. So, Monica, welcome back.
I know. This is episode 3, which is crazy. We've done 2 of these now. Mm-hmm. Still don't know what we're doing.
We have absolutely no idea what we're doing.
We're just having fun.
Yep. I think it's fun. It's a nice little hobby. It's people are like, oh my God, it's so cool that you started that. I know.
There was an intern on my team the other day that was like, do you know that Let's Start a Podcast is like the junior high boys of Let's Start a Band? And I'm like, you know what? You're just jealous that you don't have a podcast.
Right? Like, excuse me, do you have a podcast? No. No, you don't.
Also, you're an intern. You get paid like minimum wage.
Oh, how old are they? I don't really know if I want to know.
They're 19.
Ugh. Oh, good Lord.
Yeah. But it's fine. We have one. They don't. Boo.
Boo. Exactly.
So we're here literally 2 hours after the checker has flown on St. Pete. St. Pete is done and dusted. Mm-hmm. What?
Yeah.
We waited so long during the off season.
Yeah. It was a long awaited time. What did you think of the race? What are some initial thoughts? Gorgeous weather.
Sunshine.
People on boats.
Lots of yachting.
Lots of yachts.
I did hear someone called it the Monaco IndyCar race. And I'm like, yeah, you see the yachts.
Yes.
You see the blue water, but
Florida is far from Monaco. It's far, far away from Monaco.
Because St. Pete's close to Tampa Bay, right? Tampa Bay, that area. Yeah. So I get it. I get it.
I mean, yeah, it's gorgeous, the display of it. So
no, I think overall thoughts, I'm glad IndyCar is back. I may or may not have actually clapped when practice 1 started because I was super excited just to see cars on track. There have been, and we'll go over it later in the podcast, but there have been so many just news, and I felt like last week was just like breaking news. And I'm like, it's the beginning of the season, which means all the news is dropping. And we had cars on track for the first time, and no scandals this time, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Hopefully, not that we know of, at least. Not yet.
So far, no one's been disqualified, and no one has been, cheating during the St. Pete. But no, the race weekend started off right. Beautiful sunshine weather. I think the average temperature all weekend was like 72 and sunny.
It's gorgeous.
It's like, 29 degrees here today in Chicago.
Mm-hmm. We got a little snippet of spring the other day, but just a little tease right now. Still in winter. I bet we have one more snow in us soon.
Oh yeah, that was what, first fake spring?
Yes, fake spring.
They love doing that here. Mm-hmm. But the weekend kicked off, right? They had a ton of events going on. They had, I think they had like a St. Pete preview on Thursday. They had a 5K and I think a marathon that people ran. They had all of the cars out for folks to be able to take photos with it. So media day was jam-packed as well. And honestly, even just watching practice and qualifying and even the race, there were a ton of fans there. Mm-hmm. It's always a very full race. I think a lot of people like going to the season opener, but I think there was more people there than I've ever seen it since watching St. Pete, which is good. It means people want to go and see what's happening with the sport. But I will be interested to see viewership from Fox, because it is the first time, see how many viewers actually logged on to watch the race and how many actually attended. I'd be interested to see what those numbers are and compare them to 23 and 24 and see if there's been
a lot of growth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would imagine that there would be.
Fox has spent a lot of money to do this.
Yeah.
And so I think with the advertisements and the Super Bowl slots and all the craziness that they're doing, hopefully we got some new folks, at least, even if they're NASCAR fans before the NASCAR race, logging on. But they did do a lot. And I think the promoters for the St. Pete Grand Prix, they do a really good job at like doing events. And it's like, I think 2 weeks beforehand, they had stuff going on. They had a car, like they had an IndyCar at this place and that place. So I think it was a good way to kind of kick off the season. And there's also a lot of history that goes back with St. Pete.
You want to talk about Dan Weldon?
Yeah, we'll talk about him first. So Dan Weldon, the Lionheart, he was an incredible IndyCar racer in the early 2000s. He won there 20 years ago. God, I can't believe that was 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And this year, they had a lot of special moments. That one of his sons, Sebastian, he actually drove the pace car.
But And it's what? How old is his son? Only 16, did you say?
I think he's younger than 6. He doesn't have his driver's license because I think they confirmed that on the broadcast, which is insane. Like, he's a race car driver, but he's driving the pace car for an IndyCar race without a driver's license. And then his wife, she got to wave the green flag, and there is a memorial there where TK, Dario, and Brian Herta took a photo as like a remembrance, which I thought was really sweet. And there's also Dan Wheldon Way, so that is also a nice way to kind of remember him and all of the amazing things he got to do. For those of you who don't know, Dan Wheldon was tragically killed in the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He was only 33 years old, which is crazy to think.
Mm-hmm.
But both of his sons are in racing. They're sponsored by Andretti and Gamebridge. They are, I think, the oldest is starting Italian F4, and they're winning races. They're doing well. So their goal is to be in IndyCar. So I think in the next 5 to 7 years, we'll see a Weldon on the track, which I think is cool.
It's always crazy to think of like just how dangerous obviously racing is, and how especially if there's a family legacy, how the kids are just like, oh, dad died in it, I'm still going to carry on this legacy and I'm still going to race.
Oh yeah, and they were so young when he passed that they don't remember him really, and so they have his legacy to be remembered by. And seeing Andretti just sponsor them, and like Brian Hurd is a mentor to those boys. I know Colton's very close with them too. So it's wonderful that IndyCar took the time to actually remember Dan in that way, and give his family a little moment to celebrate his achievements too. Mm-hmm. So, but St. Pete, Dan was not the only winner. We have a lot of winners that are currently on the grid that have won at St. Pete. Yeah. Graham Rahal.
Graham Rahal in 2008. You have Will Power, who unfortunately, we'll talk about his unfortunate race today, but he won in 2010 and 2014. Joseph Newgarden, 2019, 2020. Colton did one in 2021. Scott McLaughlin, 2022. Marcus Ericsson, 23. And then Pato, 24. So yeah, this was a very interesting race, to say the least, that a lot of these names were actually like nowhere to be found in like the top 10, right?
I know.
I mean, poor Pato, what was he?
I think he was 23rd after qualies. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a rough start.
Yeah. And technically, Pato did not win 2024. He was in second. So because of P2P Gate, which I won't get into because I know I'll talk about it.
We talked about in our last episode.
Yeah. So if you want to learn more, listen to episode 2. But he technically has not traditionally won it. Yeah. So, all right, let's kick off the weekend. So first things first, let's get the cat out of the bag. First Fox race.
Very manly. Yeah. Geared towards men, which I was a little disappointed that a lot of like the jock rock, Motley Crue, Ozzy Osbourne, all that music that you're just like, okay, I guess it gets people's fires going, but it was very manly.
Yeah, and I would say a very Gen Xer type of demographic musically. I think also there was no like young hit music. Yeah. And even just the graphic treatment is very masculine. Mm-hmm. It's very like, I'm here. I'm still not 100% convinced if I like the cartoons.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of that. Go back to the regular pictures. Like, what was the point of doing a cartoon? Is it just to eliminate like flaws or what?
I think that's a Fox thing. They do a lot of that with NASCAR as well. So I think it might be just part of their traditional media packet that they do. But like, I think, was it Scotty Mac's cartoon? Looks like he's terrified.
Yeah, and he's like a deer in headlights look.
Staring into your soul. Mm-hmm. And the ones that have teeth, no. We don't need to have cartoon teeth.
Nope. I know Pato's a happy person, but he doesn't need the cartoon teeth. I don't like it.
No.
I agree.
I do think that Will Buxton's first time in the booth, I think he did okay. Mm-hmm. I think there were times where he had no idea what was going on and let T-Bell and Hinge kind of take the lead. it was weird hearing his voice. I definitely got so used to hearing Lee on the decks with Hinch and T-Bell, and hearing Will, who I'm so used to hearing in F1. It took a little bit of time to get used to his voice. And I also think him and Hinch have the same like vocal frequency. So sometimes when they were getting excited, I was like
who's talking?
Who's talking? Yeah. But Jack Harvey, I'm so happy he's on pit lane.
Yeah. Oh, that handsome man. Good Lord.
Yeah. He looks great.
I got a picture with him too. And at one point, so.
I think I have one of his driver cards from last year too.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. I think I have it at my desk, but I think he's doing okay. I think it's going to take him some time to get used to it. He's a driver. He wants to be in the car. Let's be honest. But he knows these drivers. He can go up to them and be like,
and they're going to be willing to talk to him versus just some person.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
And he is also doing commentary for Indy Next as well with Kevin. So I think him being in the booth for that will also help him become more natural on pit lane. But he's got great insight. He can tell us what the teams are thinking and doing because he is a driver. But outside of I think Jamie is, she's technically on the group, but we're waiting for Georgia to come back from maternity leave to be able to take the pit lane from Jamie. And I think the 500, I think, is the TBD date for Georgia. So eventually it will be Kevin, Jack, and Georgia.
Okay.
But
overall, though, I think they did a good job. So
yeah, timing stand still needs a little work. I think a lot of the fans during qualifications were very upset because they were not showing the correct information that fans want to see. Also, they're just missing some things. Like, I don't need to see the cartoon face of somebody in the top 5. I want to know what tire strategy they're on. I want to know if they're actually pitting. So I think they're...
Yeah, that leaderboard, like on the left side of the screen, took up a lot of space. Like, because they had the entire name written out, plus like the little cartoon things. And then when they did show the tires, then that took like, what, a third of the screen off completely. And you're just like, okay, we don't need to see that much. I feel like, and you know how F1 like shrinks it down to like that 3 letters, like they need to start doing that.
Yeah, and I feel like they didn't play a lot of radio messages either. And when they did, I know they're bad. I know sometimes some of these radio messages are like, right? But we only got a few of them, which is not common. Like, I feel like we got more in last year's races, but the timing stand needs a little bit of work. Showing deltas, showing how much push to pass is left. That would have been nice to know. This is just me, but the rookie designation also, it's like Able-R. I'd rather have them go back to the 3 letters like F1 does it, and then have like a special graphic that shows that they're a rookie. Yeah. Because it looks like Jacob Abel's name starts with an R. It just says Able-R. And I'm like, oh, if I was watching it for the first time, I'd be like, oh, his name is Richard. There's lots of R names.
Or even you think it's like, is it some sort of penalty? Are they retiring? Like, what does that mean? Like, you know what I mean? It's very distracting.
Yeah. And the last thing I'll say, feedback wise, is even the scrolling of the timing stand. Like, for the longest time, I was like, who the hell is in 14th through 27th? Because it didn't scroll, because the font size is so damn big. Where I was like, great, I get to see who's in the top 5 for the entire part of the race, but I want to know where my favorite driver is. And for the longest time, I was like, where the hell's Pato? Yeah. Oh, he's 26th, but I had no idea because it scrolls like every 4 minutes. So it's their first pancake. I think they're going to do better. I think they had a lot of graphic issues, especially during the NXT race. There was no timing stand. They just could not figure it out. So I think they're just learning how to do this.
Yeah.
But some of these decisions, I'm shocked they didn't make it through quality control.
Right. Because didn't they get time to like practice a little bit? I mean, with Will, he had that opportunity to like call out a previous race, right? Yeah. You would think that they would kind of work out some of those kinks then at the same time, but that makes too much sense to do something so like
smart.
Why? Yeah. Why do we want to make sense with that?
Should we start a TV show? No. I think because Fox, they do NASCAR, they do football, they do insert sport here.
They should know better.
they do NASCAR. That's enough to say you do motorsport. You should know how to do this without Will or T-Bell or Hinch in the booth. Like, you should have been practicing these things. And I get it. It's live. It's different. Things break. Someone forgets the wrong cable, and then you got to wait 25 minutes because it's in the truck. Mm-hmm. But you're telling me that nobody from IndyCar even, or Penske Entertainment, saw what you guys wanted to do for qualifying. I had no idea if any of the drivers I was watching were going to get in because they were just showing lap times. And I'm like, well, that means nothing to me. I get they can't go back to the same treatment NBC did. I get that. This is how they put their stamp on it. But
needs to be a little bit more modification, a little bit more. Need to reevaluate what the information that you're going to put on there. Test.
They should have had some fans come in and do some blind testing. Mm-hmm. But who am I to judge?
No.
I don't get paid the big bucks to make those decisions. But overall, they did a great job marketing it. I did appreciate the square and square commercial to race.
Yes. So you always had eyes on the race instead of it going to just a complete commercial, which they did a handful of times, which I know we can't always control that.
I think there might be obligations for some commercials to be played in full screen. Mm-hmm. But this is just for the US. I'd love to hear any viewers that are listening that are in the international markets. Apparently there was just silence during commercials that they were playing in the US. I think outside of Sky Sports, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of international streaming feeds were literally just like, all right, now we're going to cut to break. And then it just was like,
and it was silence.
And so they had to put out a message when you opened the streaming provider that said, we're not going to be playing commercials. There will be silence. Nothing has gone wrong with the stream. Just wait until it restarts again. And I'm like, ooh, that would make me very uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So
well, I guess they don't really need to know about COPD or anything like that overseas, right?
Or fishing. Bass Pro Shop.
Or Viagra commercials.
Oh my God, there were so many Viagra commercials. Now I know that you can buy Viagra for only 87 cents a pill.
Wow. Do you buy them by the pill? I guess, yeah, because it's not one of those that you need to take every day. It's just an as-needed situation.
Well, if you're taking them every day, you might have to
reevaluate your life.
But I think that goes back to your initial comment that it seemed very macho, very like even the cartoon graphics were jacked. They had like giant arms and abs. And
they looked like Avengers.
Yeah.
And they 100% looked like Avengers.
We're IndyCar superheroes. Mm-hmm. Huzzah. Mm-hmm. So I do think that if I can give some feedback, just, you don't have to make it like rainbows, unicorns, pink, purple, beautiful colors. You just have to
just be more neutral.
Yeah. All right. I think that's enough. Sorry, Fox. We just dragged you for like 25 minutes.
That's okay.
But practice was pretty okay. I think the biggest thing about practice, the hybrid's heavier. The drivers had to adapt to the extra weight. Tire deg was the topic of conversation all weekend. I think the biggest thing was poor willpower. Starting the weekend off strong, he had a hybrid issue in practice one. His car just stopped working.
Yeah,
I think they were like
seeing that.
So, and then Scotty hit the wall.
And right at the end of that practice that he hit the wall. So
you're like, Penske perfect. What's going on here? Mm-hmm. So, but it was pretty, practice was pretty okay. I think the only thing that I heard that was really interesting is so many drivers due to the hybrid gained so much extra muscle weight. Mm-hmm. I think Kyle and Marcus Ericsson gained like 10 pounds of muscle.
Wow.
Just yoked.
Yeah.
Kiffin Simpson's neck is double the size. They really hit the gym in the off season. I think that was what practice really showed. But you really can't tell what's going on in practice because some teams are sandbagging, some teams are doing quali runs, some teams are doing race runs. So
they're checking like the telemetry stuff, make sure all that stuff works.
Exactly.
I did hear, and I don't know if you caught this, that like Colton only he had a very limited time that he like almost let everyone else go practice before he went out.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, that he like only, I think it was just practice one that like he only did like 5 minute run.
I wonder if they were trying to save tires.
Yeah.
Because they knew that they were going to be reliant on tires. I wonder if they were like, our car is good enough.
Our driver is good enough.
We can do this.
Right. Yeah. To be a little bit, I guess they can afford to be a little bit cocky, right?
Yeah, I think so too. All right. And then we went into group 2. Nothing really happened there. And then we went to the Fast 12 and the Fast 6. Honestly, it was just a shock that a lot of the big names were not in there.
Mm-hmm.
I think, Pato not making it, but the rest, but Christian making it was a big upset. But at the end of the day, Scotty Mack got pole. So we had Scotty Mack on pole. Colton, even with that strategy of not going out really in practice 1, saved him some tires.
Still worked for him.
And then both MSRs, I think they did a great job. They were great last year. We had Christian Lundgaard in 5th and Scott Dixon in 6th. So really the top 6, I don't think anyone thought that both MSR cars were going to be in there, but they were, and they did a great job. So we're going to now talk about the race.
Yeah. So, the most notable thing in the first part of the race was, unfortunately, Will Power knocking Nolan in the back, and then Foster being a casualty of that as well. So did they really say what happened? What did he something about Newgarden? Did he pressure Power and then that's what made it, or what was going on?
So I think the stewards called it a racing incident. So I think that's why we didn't see any penalties. But I think T-Bell mentioned that Joseph was a little slow to the start, which accordion affected everybody. And Will just tagged Nolan, but that was just enough to put him and Nolan in the wall. And Louis was just a innocent bystander in all of it, just in for the ride. I do think that for Will, this is a weekend to forget. He didn't ever do a post race.
He walked off. I think I don't think he wanted to talk to anybody. And we know what. I don't want to call him a hothead, but hot-headedness probably got the best of him today. So. Shake it off, dude. It's only the first race.
Yep.
It's the street courses. It makes me so nervous when you look at their camera angles from the helmet. How just tight everything has to be, how just precise they have to be. That's absolutely terrifying. So just one wrong move, one little tap, that's all it takes.
Oh yeah. And if you're not perfect, you're in the wall.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of drivers that have kissed the wall, and just these cars are pretty heavy and they're made pretty well, but it happened even later after they restarted. It was pretty quiet up until probably mid race. Marcus Armstrong clipped the wall a little bit and really kind of screwed up his front left, which inevitably ruined his race.
Yeah, he never came back in, right? He never went back out, I should say. They tried to fix it because I saw that he was in the garage for a while.
I don't think he ever made it out.
But I don't think he never made it. Yeah.
But besides that, also Colton, poor Colton,
the Andretti curse.
I know,
it's just call it.
He had a fuel issue, so he just kept going in. I think he pitted without tires. He just needed fuel, and that ruined his race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there was one. Because he had an extra long stop, right, and that just kind of messed with him because he was doing well. He was, top 3. He was leading the race at one point, and then when he went in, I guess, where did he end up finishing? I don't even know.
Oh, I don't know. I don't have the final top 10. I think he finished. I think he still made a good rating. I'm assuming he's still got
15?
points. Okay.
Yeah, he got 15.
Not what he wanted, but at least he got the points.
Yeah.
Right. But majority of the race was a tire and strategy race. So a lot of the conversation during the race was around tire allocations and the fact that the greens 10 laps, maybe.
Oh my God, maybe. Did you see how shredded they were? The battery, now that it's just so heavy. Yeah, they said maybe 12 laps tops that they were talking about that'll last. That's nothing.
Right. And my question to Arrow McLaren is, why did you think Christian Lundgaard could do 30 laps on that green tire at the end?
I know. Yeah.
He's not God. He won't be able to do that unless he goes slow. So strategy over there kind of ruined Christian's race. I think that if they did the strategy right, he probably would have ended 4th. I don't think he would have ended up on the podium, but it's better than ending up in 8th. But still a good show up for him for his first race at McLaren, though.
definitely.
And then we got to the end. I think the last 15 laps were probably the most interesting of the race after the first lap's incidents. We had Alex Palou really just coming out and doing what he does best. Cool, calm, collected. And then he met Stingray.
The back of Stingray. He could not get past him. And I can only imagine, like, can you imagine looking in the rear view mirror? Do they even have rear view mirrors? No. Right?
No.
They probably have no idea. But, like, you know,
on
the
radio.
radio.
They have their side mirrors.
Yes. So, like, can you imagine just, like, at that speed, just having the leader right behind you and you're the one that's responsible for closing that gap between 1 and 2?
I get that you want to stay on the lead lap, my guy. I know that you want to prove why you should be in the series and that you're not just a paid driver. But then once Alex did inevitably pass him, he let Joseph go. Really, he had no he had no choice, right? Because he was waived, but he made it so difficult for Scott to pass him after that. And I'm like, oh God, the Honda Chevy team game is playing here. But I really wanted to listen to Alex's radio. Like, was it just silent? Like, was he just kind of just sitting there being like, he's going to move, he's going to move, he's going to move. Oh, he's not moving.
He's not moving. What do I do? Yeah.
He didn't want to use push to pass because he knew he needed it to keep Joseph at bay.
Because again, then that shortened the gap between Joseph and Alex, which of course, like, you know, Alex he had so much time the entire race to build that gap. Yeah. And then, Stingray.
After they got past Stingray, it was pretty much a solid, Alex just took off with it. But then at the end, Joseph ran out of gas. So
sorry.
Bye.
Yeah. So,
but Scott took that second place, and it is beyond crazy that this man did not have radio.
Yeah.
For a good chunk of that race, and still did it.
Yeah, I know. I can't even imagine. Like, you're all alone out there, and you can't hear a thing. No one can tell you any direction or whatever, and you just. I mean, that just goes to his experience that he just. You know, he's been out there for the longest. What is he? He's 44, right?
25 years in IndyCar.
Yeah.
He did it off of feeling, intuition. He didn't even have fuel deltas. He didn't even know how much fuel he had left. And that man is just a fuel whisperer. And the fact that thank God Joseph did run out of gas, because I think Scott probably would have never been able to pass him. But our final three was Hello Palou, Iceman Scott Dixon, and Joe New.
Oh, no, third was Scotty Mack.
Scotty Mack, sorry.
Yeah, Joseph got third. I'm sorry, fourth. I lied. Yeah.
Scotty, a little redemption for him.
Yeah.
I don't even know what happened to Scott's race. I feel like they just he was just in this stuck strategy, and it kind of didn't work, and it kind of got away from him. But two Ganassis and a Penske. Oh, and we did read this is the first 1-2 for Chip since 2003. So to have both of them up there.
Yeah, where you saw that he was dancing and we're like, okay, good.
Was it dancing?
Good. I mean, Chip Ganassi, how can you...
It was like finger guns, like moving back and forth. I think that's the extent of his dance skills that he wants to put on camera.
It's the dad dance, right? That's
100%
what dads
the dad dance. But overall, I think it was an okay race. I think, you know, when it comes down to strategy races, sometimes they can get a little visually boring just because you're watching cars go around and around without really not a lot of passing going on. I don't think there's a lot of passing going on in this.
Again, if it's a street race, you're not going to get passing in the first place. So it's not going to be as eventful as a road or oval.
But I do think it's a good segue to talk about the next race, which is going to be in a few weeks. So we're going back to Thermal. Thermal is a country club for race fanatics. Last year, we went to Thermal for a exhibition race. So it was a non-championship point race. It was deemed the $1 Million Challenge. So the purse for it, I think, ended up totaling $1.25 million, with the winner, the driver, getting $500,000 of that, the team getting the remainder of it.
And take a wild guess, who was the winner of that one? Alex Palou. Last year. That man.
But some highlights from the track and from the race. So it's an expensive race. Last year, ticket prices were steep, like Formula One level steep.
Yeah. Well, and Thermal is located in the Coachella Valley.
Yep.
So very ritzy area. I know it's also a golf course, right?
Yeah. It's a full community.
And as a community, there's obviously imagine the population that lives there. They want to keep it exclusive.
Yep. Well, rumor has it Max Verstappen purchased a house in Thermal. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if it's finished being built, but...
Oh, God, I can't even imagine what that house looks like.
Big.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Empty. We can live in the basement and no one would know.
No one would know. We can break into Max Verstappen's home and no one would know.
Oh, my God, let's not say that
we're not going to do that.
We're not going to do that. We promise.
Sorry, Max. We love you.
Yeah.
So it was definitely the last race. It wasn't a race. Like no one had there were no rules. Teammates weren't teammates. You were racing kind of for yourself and cash was king. Mm-hmm. Right. And so they broke it down into two kind of heats. Some highlights from last year. Good old friend Romain Grosjean. He got yeeted, full blown yeeted in the first lap of the race last year. And, he got so mad at Scott for yeeting him. And in essence, Scott did get a penalty for it because he went a little bit too crazy on the first lap. But there was a video of him that was almost going to fight an AMR safety person because they were trying to get him off of the track.
Why was he was it just adrenaline was high and he was just interesting.
I think a lot of it, the exhibition race, I don't know. Last year, the feedback is like the little teams, like if they crash, they still have to pay out of their own budget to fix the cars if they crash in this race. And it's not a points race. So it's not like they were getting
doesn't
points.
Mean anything to the championship.
Yeah. And granted, while there was maybe a chance a non-Penske, non-Chip Ganassi, non-McLaren Andretti driver would win it, that's more than half the grid. Mm-hmm. So you're really thinking a JHR or an Ed Carpenter or even RLL car would have won it? Probably not. So I think part of his frustration was the cost that the team had to pay for Scott hitting him. But he was mad. He was full-blown pissed. And I understand that you're mad, but I kind of held Grosjean to a higher standard of dude, you've raced in the pinnacle of motorsport in F1. Don't fight the safety people. They're just trying to make sure you're good, dude.
I wonder if it was just an adrenaline high or something like that. He probably had no idea at that point of what he was doing.
No. He was also new to the team. He just left Andretti. Yeah. So I think it was a little bit of that. But besides that, like you said, Polo won. One of the things that was fun to watch during it was that there were no team orders. So we had all three McLarens fighting each other, which was fun. And then, I don't know if you remember it, but they did a tire deg example and they used a block of cheese and a grater. And they showed the difference of tire deg with the cheese. Mm-hmm. And I was like, man, this is peak IndyCar content right here. They're using cheese to show how drivers deal with tire deg, which I thought was interesting. So there were some concerns from the drivers that I hope that they're going to fix for this year. But there were some drivers that talked about just concerns about the barriers in this track. Okay. So I know Colton mentioned it. I think Callum and Marcus Armstrong talked a little bit about it, about how excited they are to race here, but from a safety perspective, because this track isn't a full-time racing track, to make sure that when we do other events here, they're going to have more barriers and better. It's not just a concrete wall.
So is that the temporary barriers that you're talking about? So what's in the temporary barriers?
I think they're going to do tire barriers. So I think we saw a little bit about that in St. Pete, but I believe, and I can be wrong, but a lot of the track is desert. So you have just loose dirt everywhere. There's no gravel traps. So there's not really natural ways of stopping the car on this track. Mm-hmm. Granted, why would you? I don't think, maybe Max Verstappen would, but I don't know if you're taking out your $200,000 sports car and going so fast that you're trying to crash it into a wall, So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see what kind of barriers they included and just if they're going to continue racing there, what else they're going to do. But at the end of the day, I think this is just a way to get more people to sign up to live in the Thermal Club. Mm-hmm. I don't think this track will be on the calendar forever, especially if the race is not good.
It's just like too too exclusive, but like, I mean, there's really no reason why it has to be so expensive. Like, it just seems like it's not for the everyday fan to go see it.
So we'll see, but we're still waiting on how many laps the race is going to be, but the track itself looks a little funky. I think it looks like a wiggly like comb that you use for your hair.
Yeah, so like you can see like the teeth. Yes, it does. Sorry, I'm going to pull up my information that I have. So the circuit, it's just over 3 miles with 19 turns. So we don't, like you said, we don't have any really details as far as like how many laps it's going to be. We do have a time. I think it's supposed to start at 4 o'clock.
Local?
Our time. I believe it is. Isn't 4 o'clock? It shows like our time, right? Within the app.
Mm-hmm.
So that's central time. So local, it's going to be 2 p.m.
Oh yeah, because
they're in California.
And we changed time. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a later race.
It's a little bit late. A little bit later, I guess.
I wonder how much heat's going to play a part of that, because I think last year the race was at the same time. So I think that's probably why they talked about tire drag. 4 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the desert is like peak sun. So I do wonder how the temperature is going to be for that race. So
I'm trying to see like what the current temperature is
in Coachella. Well, after watching so many live streams of Coachella, and it's warm during the day, like probably in the 70s, 80s, and then cold as sin at night because you're in the desert.
Yeah. So currently right now it's 73 degrees, and then they have a low of 50 degrees, but 50 degrees without sun.
You can feel
and not
it.
only that, in thermal, and especially in the Coachella Valley, you have pretty strong winds as well. Got those Santa Ana winds, right? Isn't that what that is?
I think so, yeah.
We were there. So we went to vacation in Palm Springs, and like at night, those winds were no joke. Like, it was insane. But they were just like, oh yeah, this is our normal.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess when you live in paradise, what's a little wind?
Right? Yeah, exactly. You wake up every morning to sit by the pool. I guess you'll take a little wind at night if you have to.
Exactly. I'll take it, right? Yeah. I'd retire in Palm Springs.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be lovely. Well, my last 2 predictions for winner have been Alex Palou. I had Alex Palou winning St. Pete, and I have Alex Palou winning thermal. Did I predict the future? Because I also have Scotty Mack on pole in thermal.
Yeah.
Okay. And my sleeper, this feels like I predicted, is also Marcus Armstrong, because he was strong, no pun intended, last year during the exhibition race as well. I honestly feel like that's very creepy that my top 3 were drivers that did really well, minus Marcus with his issue, but
he's still, he held his own for a little bit. I guess it wasn't his fault, but he did, we'll see.
I feel like these predictions are going to be completely off now because I predicted them for St. Pete, but that's okay.
That's okay.
Alex Palou is always going to do well. And I'm always going to say, hey, he did well last time. He probably will do well again.
Yep. So for me, my prediction, I agree with you with Alex Palou. I think that he won last year. He's unbelievable behind the wheel. So I'm still I'm voting for Herta. I know. I really want to see him do really well. And I think we noticed that he's a lot more calm.
Yeah.
Maybe he's growing into his own, being more professional. And for my sleeper, Lundgaard. Let's see what he has to do. Because he performed really well in practice and qualies. And for a while, he was leading the race for today. So we'll see what he's got.
All right. We'll see if Alex Palou can do a back-to-back. That's very hard to do. But hey, out of everyone on the grid, I feel like Alex would be the one that would do a back-to-back win. So, all right, cool. Well, that's thermal in a nutshell. We checked earlier just a few moments ago about schedule and timing and all of that fun stuff, but it looks like they're still finalizing when practice and qualifications are going to be. But if you have the IndyCar app, that's the best place to go check out updates for when the race weekend will be kicking off. But we all know 4 p.m. Central on Fox. That's the only thing we do know is the race will be on Fox. It's going to be there. I'm assuming there will be FS1 and FS2 options for practice and qualies once we have that updated. So
I do actually have a correction on the app. I'm sorry, what I'm looking at, my The iPad says 4 p.m., but on the app, it actually does say 2 p.m. Central Time for the start.
Okay. 2 p.m. Central for the start.
So then it is going to start at noon?
It'll be cooler then. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because then you're not in literally peak sun.
Yeah. So,
but best place to check is always the IndyCar app for most up-to-date updates on where to watch.
yes.
But when in doubt, check out Fox on Sunday because that's probably where it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll go into our next segment. I apologize ahead of time, but oh my God, it was just the newsrooms and the press releases and the teams were just like, you know what? We're a week ahead. We have a ton of news that we did not go over last time we chatted in our previous episode. We'll try to go through them as quickly as possible. It looks like we have about 2.5 pages of notes, but we'll try to give you the Spark Notes version of this. So we'll kick off with just some news about Errol McLaren. So with the departure of Gavin Ward during the off season, it is now official that Tony Kanaan, or TK, is going to be the team principal for Errol McLaren. So he definitely got a fast track from being a sporting director and a coach to the drivers all the way to leading the damn thing. So we'll see what the team can do under TK's kind of rule. I think as we saw this weekend, McLaren has some gremlins with street and road courses. They do really well on the ovals. So it's just having a consistent season, and we'll see if TK can do the job.
Yeah, great.
We also have another conversation that was kind of started during preseason testing. So during preseason testing in Sebring, Scott Dixon blew an engine. So one of the things that happened was literally the moment he was about to hit the track, his engine gave him that white smoke of death. And we all know that the teams are limited to engines for the year before taking grid penalties. And so Scott's now one engine less for the entire season. And a lot of the criticism from Chip Ganassi especially was like, really? It's preseason testing. Why, if I got a bad engine in my car, why does that go for my entire season's allocations? Mm-hmm. And I kind of agree with that. I think if you're going to Sebring for your first ever test and your engine blows, I think that you get an allocation of engines for your test weekend, but that shouldn't impact the season hasn't started.
Right. That's not fair.
No. So those are going to be conversations now with new IndyCar president Doug Boles that are going to happen, because I do think that a lot of the teams are feeling that same way. And so we'll definitely take a look and see if for next season we'll have any more changes to that. But I agree with the Ganassi camp. Mm-hmm. If I blew an engine and I had to use a new one, that shouldn't go. The season hasn't started.
Right.
And Scott, I think it was Will Power also had some issues where like he was burning oil. So he was getting this plume of white smoke when he turned the car on. And it's like, it's preseason testing. You're supposed to iron out these issues then, right, and fix what's not working and not get penalized for it. And unfortunately, Scott's already one engine down for the entire season. So we'll see if they're
going to be follow up with that, if they're going to change, or I don't know. That'd be.
If Scott's in contention for the championship and he's got to take a grid penalty and ends up losing points by winning the seventh championship, we will not hear the end of it from Chip. Mm-hmm. Just leave. Sorry, Doug Boles, you got the big boy job now. You're going to get a lot of angry calls from Chip Ganassi being like, you lost my driver his championship.
Yeah.
So
there are some rule updates as well. So some of the race lengths and formats. So they increased the laps for some of the races, right? So like, why would they do something like that? Why would they increase it? What's the change?
Enter Scott Dixon into the chat again. A lot of these changes is to prevent one-stop races, two-stop races that should be 3 and fuel saving.
Well, that's probably going to change anyway because of the tire situation.
Thank you. And the heaviness of the car. Mm-hmm. But I think it just adds a little bit. So teams can't be like, oh, go long. Because the way that they've added the changes, like the next change will be at Long Beach. They increased it by 5 laps. That's like, in my opinion, that's like a little splash of fuel. So it's not like you can just go in, get a splash of fuel in the pit and go.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to be more strategic with it. And it also is going to prevent Scott Dixon from doing Scott Dixon things and be the fuel god that he is.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we'll see what happens. We'll see if it actually changes anything. But a lot of other series are doing changes. We just got an update that in F1, they have to do 2 stops in Monaco. They're trying to make it more appealing to fans instead of it being just a strategy race, which we saw a little bit of it today. So we'll see. The other tracks that they'll be changing outside of Long Beach are Mid-Ohio, the doubleheader in Iowa, Toronto, and the season ender in Nashville.
Okay.
Speaking of Nashville, so for oval restarts, which we'll actually not see until the 500, for safety and reducing accidents during restarts, they're going to do single file restarts and versus double stacking for the restarts. It just prevents drivers knocking into one another before it goes green. And they're also thinking about doing a pair up location, which it will be where the field actually starts to compact. There'll be a designated place that the drivers need to do that before the restart happens. If the drivers don't pair up in that location, they will wave off the green and they'll have to do it again. And then restart zones. I think the most notorious one from last season was at Gateway with Joseph Newgarden. There's going to be they're going to be extending the beginning of that zone, so drivers have more chance to just find where they want to go versus like, oh, click, go. So hopefully that will change and you won't get a lot of those crazy crashes in the beginning of ovals, because if you crash in an oval, you're hitting a wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And you're taking like 7 drivers out with you.
Especially in those starts, because they're so close together, and that's the highest chance of some incident happening.
No more flying Rossies or poor Stingray getting yeeted. Like it's not going to happen. So
poor thing. So practice formats as well. So they have split sessions. That's kind of like what we saw with this one, the first one, right? Which I think it worked out well, how they had 2 different. So it's reducing the traffic that's on the, increasing the time, the quality of the time, I guess, that they have.
Yeah.
I think that worked out.
Yeah. And I think because the only place they will not be doing that will be in Road America, because there's so much space in Road America. They don't need to worry about that. We saw the pit lane at St. Pete. It's literally just like tail to front. Mm-hmm. So I'm glad about that. And then the only other change is for ovals for highline practice. Normally, not all the teams did it. They weren't open to it. Rookies were always available to use it at all times. But now the highline is going to be a practice because you need to make sure that you remove some of those marbles from up there so that it allows more passing, which inevitably makes more fun racing. So we'll see how that goes as well. Just some updates on local yellow. So there's going to be more yellow flags versus full caution yellows for the track. We see a lot of that in other formulas like Formula One, where one section of the track is a double waved yellow, but it's not a full safety car. So they're going to start doing that just to make sure that if it's a car that can be restarted and flipped around, you're not just sending out the safety car automatically. You give the driver a second to figure out what they want to do. So they're going to be implementing that as well. We also have yellows indicated in the steering wheel of the car. So the drivers can then actually have a panel that says yellow. So then you have your spotter saying yellow, your engineer saying yellow, you see yellow flags. Yeah, everyone knows there's a yellow. There's no like, oh, there wasn't a yellow, I didn't see it.
No excuses.
No. So hopefully we'll be able to have a little bit more fun racing. I think there'll be more penalties for speeding under yellow, but we'll see what happens.
Okay. All right.
I can't believe it, but we actually have Indy 500 updates as well. So I think the biggest question is going to be, will we have a bump day? So we're less than 3 months away from the 500. And we have some drivers picked up for it, but right now we're still under bump. So the question is are we going to have any bump day? So it looks like we have Andretti already with Marco racing. We have McLaren with Kyle Larson doing the double. We have Dreyer Reinbold racing, which we have Ryan Hunter-Reay and the lovely Jack Harvey. Ed Carpenter's racing for Ed Carpenter. And then we have Elio with Shank. So we'll see if we'll get any extra folks signing up. I know that there's questions if Catherine Legg will still do the 500, which I think last year with her ELF sponsorship, she did really great job with bringing more young girls into watching the 500.
I love looking at her social content. She's such like a bubbly, cute person.
I know, right?
Yeah,
She was on the Drew Barrymore show, I think, or Good Morning America, one of those big name shows, and they were doing an interview, and I was like, damn, she is so accomplished, and she just kicks ass and takes names. And
very down to earth doing it too.
And she's good.
Awesome.
And she's been doing stock cars. She's just been trying to race. And she's also a mentor for drivers. I'm like, girl, what can't you do? Incredible.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I hope that she does come back. And hopefully we'll see if we will have a bump day for the 500. But we got the carb day lineup, guys.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. The millennial inside of me, right? All American rejects. And then we also have Brett Michaels.
So the next thing we have is Leaders Circle update. So just to be quick here, the teams are going to get more money. So they raised it to $2.2 million. So basically they're getting $100,000 more, which you're like, wow, $100,000 is a lot. Well, if you think about it, the cost for a hybrid engine is between $135,000 to $165,000. So in reality, they're just getting a little bit of more money.
Right. They're probably just going to like put it, where who knows where they're going to put it, right? Or just probably add on to whatever budget that they have, like allocate another $25,000 to something else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like split it up that way.
The teams are not going to say no to more money, but a lot of them were with their little pitchforks being like inflation, shipping issues, supply chain, which is valid, right? So they're getting a little bit more money, but we'll see what happens if they end up doing incremental increases year after year as, costs do go up. Because at the end of the day, no matter where you buy something in the United States, it's more expensive than the year prior, unfortunately. Yep. So we'll see what happens with if they're going to get more money moving forward. Not to dampen the mood a little here, but we do have a Hy-Vee sponsor update. So Nathan Brown dropped this about last week. So Hy-Vee used to be Christian Lundgaard's primary sponsor on his car at RLL. That was eliminated at the end of the 2024 season, but Hy-Vee was also a sponsor for the Milwaukee Mile, where we went last year, as well as the big one in Iowa. So they were the main sponsor of the Iowa doubleheader. And as many of us know, they make Iowa a party. They have giant names. I think Carrie Underwood performed one year, Post Malone one year. Well, Hy-Vee is out ski. So they're no longer sponsoring the Milwaukee Mile, which is now going to be sponsored by a Milwaukee company called Snap-on. And they announced that they'll no longer be the main sponsor for the doubleheader. So all of the people that bought tickets to go to Iowa to see this like show-stopping event,
it's not going to be what it was before.
Nope. They're getting local bands.
Which I guess, I mean, I wonder how many like fans that are local that obviously travel there, just like for us in like Milwaukee, right? Like mostly it's just going to be locals that are going to go to those. So hopefully they'll just know them, but it's not going to be, unfortunately, those big headliners that you guys are used to.
Yeah, and it made everyone question what's going to be the future of the Iowa race. Will they keep the doubleheader spot with that giant sponsorship going away? Or as more races potentially are going to get added in the next couple of seasons, will Iowa go down to a weekend versus a doubleheader and not be this spectacle of a race where you have these huge names? But I would kind of be upset if I like rented an RV, was going to the doubleheader, and now I have to see Billy Bob and James Garage Band versus a Kenny Chesney or a big name that I'm a fan for. And it kind of sucks because it brings in new people. Like how many people were like, oh, Post Malone's playing. I love Posty. I'm going to go see him. Oh, there's a race. Maybe I'll check it out.
Yeah. If Post Malone is big enough to be part of this race, maybe it's a big deal for me to watch it. So I could see maybe it's going to change. We don't know. Right. But we do have update on the 100 Days to Indy.
Yeah, we do.
So it is most like it's going to. So it discontinued from Netflix, right?
And the CW.
And the CW, which I think we had the initial thought already that Fox was going to take it over and do something with it, because that was a great opportunity for more information, more content, more, fan outreach. Everyone wants to see stuff behind the scenes. So that's good that that's going to, what seems like 6 episodes that are in production right now.
Yeah. So, and what's great about this new thing is it's going to follow the drivers throughout the entire season. So it's going to be what leads up to the 500 and then what happens after the 500, which is going to be a little bit different than the original premise of the show, which I kind of like.
Yeah, because there's more to Indy, and we understand what the Indy 500 is and how big it is, but there's more to the season than just the Indy 500.
Oh, yeah. And it's going to be more Drive to Survive like. That's kind of what they're going ahead. I did hear from Marshall Pruitt on his podcast that when the show was originally airing on CW live on television, the ratings were not great. Mm-hmm. Also, CW was kind of a niche channel. It wasn't on a primary channel. And once they moved the 100 Days to Indy show to Netflix, that's when viewership skyrocketed. So I think Fox was like, we're not going to do something that's not really doing well viewer-wise. Let's do it our own way. But the question is where is it going to sit? Are they going to do a partnership with Netflix? Are they going to do a partnership with another streaming service? It's not like Fox has their own streaming service right now.
Right.
So the question is where are they going to put it so that more eyeballs can see it? But I'm excited to see the chaos of everything. But my assumption is we're not going to see it till the end of the season. Yeah. We're not going to get it like they did it last time where it was like, all right, we're getting close to the 500. Here's episode 1. Here's episode 2. I think we're going to get it at the end of the season.
Yeah. So. Which, that's okay. I think at least something is better than nothing. So, I think it'll be fun to watch.
Well, that was a lot of news. But we also had a support race this weekend in St. Pete with Indy Next. And Dennis Hauger swept everybody.
Andretti, yes.
Yeah, he did. So for those of you who don't know who Dennis Hauger is, Dennis Hauger came from the Formula side, from the European market. He was an F3 champion and won multiple races in F2. He was with the Red Bull Academy, but as we all know, Red Bull seats are a dime a dozen to come. So he went over to the United States, and he's a rookie this year, and he got pole, and he won the damn thing.
Mm-hmm. That's huge for a rookie.
The race was a little chaotic. A lot of crashing, a lot of kissing of the wall, and Dennis held his own. He led the entire time. Masterclass. And it was an Andretti 1-2 with Lockie Hughes as well, who's also a rookie from the USF 2000 Pro Championship. So I don't know if you remember when we were in Road America, the guy who won that race was actually Lockie Hughes.
All right.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I would expect nothing less from you to remember it, though.
I remember all the things. Just a couple little things news-wise from the Indy NXT side. So this is actually kind of fun. So IndyCar announced that the 2025 Indy Next champion will receive $850,000 scholarship. And this prize money can be used for the following. They can pay for their own rookie oval test with an IndyCar team or a Indy 500 open test. Or, this one's big, they can take that money and race in the 2026 Indy 500 and have a race on the 2026 calendar as well. So being a champion of Indy Next now, not only are you going to get the prize money at the end, but you're also going to get basically an opportunity to race an IndyCar and the damn Indy 500, which is, well, if you qualify and don't get bumped, but that's a huge thing.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible practice. Other than that, no IndyCar Next person would be able to do that, right? Until that they were actually in an Indy seat.
Yeah. And a lot of these drivers that are in Indy Next, they don't have a ton of sponsors. They don't bring a huge budget. It also gives an opportunity for Indy Next to be a true feeder series, right? You have drivers from, the Pro Series, and then you have drivers from Formula 2 coming, or Hailie Deegan, she never drove an open wheel race car or a street course until today, which is crazy. She did a lot of stock cars and dirt, and now she's racing in Indy Next, and she's never seen a street race before. So gives you more opportunities to have more representation on track, which I think is awesome. Another thing of development news. Penske Entertainment did release a statement that the IndyNext director, Richard Buck, actually decided to leave. So, which is crazy because he was appointed in December. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens there. Right now, Doug Bowles and Jason Penix will be overseeing operations. Doug Bowles is just literally doing everything. He's not only IndyCar president, he's now interim IndyNext president, also the IMS president.
Busy dude.
Doesn't sleep.
Nope.
Coffee.
How could you, right?
Speaking of coffee and caffeine, I know we talked about this earlier. Like, this man doesn't sleep. Yeah. So, but IndyNext doesn't race again until Barber, so there is a little bit of a break in their season. So they will not be at Thermal or any of the races in Long Beach as well. So the next time we'll see IndyNext will be kickstarting the month of May in Barber. Mm-hmm. And all right, I think the last thing before we close is to go over some questions. I know Milena, we did get a question.
We did get a question. We got a question from Bryce from Missouri. Ooh. So what is our dream IndyCar sponsor? If we could choose one, what would yours be?
I hate to say this because it's the first thing that came into my mind because I'm a true Chicagoan, but I would love to be sponsored by Old Style.
Oh, interesting.
Have a Chicago liveried car.
Yeah.
With the blue and the white and the red.
I mean, then you would have to ask for Malort too.
And have a handshake.
And have that Chicago handshake just right on the side of your car.
David Malukas, here's some sponsors, man.
Right? We're throwing some great ideas out there.
Yes. What about you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm obsessed with either chocolate or coffee. So Nestle.
Ooh.
Oh, that would be a good one.
Yeah.
Then you get your choice of everything. Or as far as coffee goes, I don't know, Folgers. I'm fine with Folgers.
Yeah. Hey, it's free.
Great. Right. Yeah. Forever and ever. Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, what can I have forever? Like stock item. If it's, granted, I don't drink that much beer, so maybe Old Style's not a good choice, but like makeup, like a CoverGirl.
That'd be good.
Lifetime supply.
Neutrogena.
Ooh.
That'd be a good one.
Some face.
Yeah.
Ulta. Come on. Ooh, Sephora.
Ulta, Sephora. Any one of those that we'd be very happy with.
Yeah.
So. Okay.
Well, thank you, Bryce, for sending in your question.
Yeah. So, and again, thank you guys. I mean, Bryce, he must have looked at either, I think it was from our Instagram or from our email that they sent it from.
It was from our Instagram.
Okay, great. So we're at Lap It Like It's Hot.
And if you do want to email us your questions, if you don't have Instagram or BlueSky, you can email us at lapitlikei'tshot@gmail.com. We do check for questions before every episode. And we are also Lap It Like It's Hot on BlueSky. I know that's a lot of folks are now on BlueSky, so we're not on X, we're on BlueSky, and you can follow us there as well.
And don't forget to subscribe. We're on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts as well.
I know this was a long one. Thank you for settling in and listening. Hopefully you had a long workout or a drive to and from school or work to listen to us. We appreciate all of you. Don't forget, like Milena said, to subscribe, leave us a review, give us a 5-star rating. Any review helps us get more listeners like you listening to our podcast. And see you in a couple weeks when we debrief Thermal and talk about Long Beach. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.